Hello, 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 and welcome to WJCM RADIO. Today we're talking a little Black history, and I want to give you a heads up that this story may be a little unsettling. But we're going to be talking about death. But first, I want to give thanks to Tim Boyum for bringing this story to light. I appreciate that because I've never heard of this story before he brought it to light. See, Tim is he's a reporter for Spectrum News, and he has a show called Front Porch Politics, where he brings stories to us that he thinks we may want to hear. And then I want to give thanks to Mayor Steve Little. Now, as you hear about this story, the former mayor, Steve Little, he was the mayor of Asheville, North Carolina. But before that, he took on a project that took 40 years of his life, this project. And that's what we're going to be talking about. This project that he took on. You see, Asheville, the story starts like this. Asheville wanted to build a railroad, and they used inmate free labor to do so. Now, this project started in 1875, and it lasted to 1879. So as Mayor Little was telling Tim this story, I could see how much it really touched him. His voice was cracking. His eyes was full of water, of tears, as he told this story. And I'm sitting here listening to this story as it went on, and it bothered me. I could see why the mayor was choked up about it. And so today, I'm going to give you this story, the short version of it, because Tim's broadcast was more than an hour. So I narrowed that down and going to give you a snapshot of it, if you will. But if you really want to hear the entire story, go to spectrum.com, and I'm sure they have it in their archives, and you should be able to find it there. Now, the story started like this. The town of Asheville, North Carolina, they wanted to build a railroad to take them over the western part of North Carolina through the mountains. But they didn't want to go around the mountain or over the mountain. They wanted to go through the mountain. So what they did, they went to the state penitentiary and they used 3,000 black convicts for this project. 3,000. And to make a long story short, in building this bridge, this railroad, a lot of inmates died. You see, when they got these convicts and they brought them back to this camp, first of all, they put them in this makeshift cell, if you will. In 1875, it was a portable cell. It was like a wagon train with wagon wheels on it, and it had bars on it. And that's where the inmates were packed in there to sleep at night. That's what they slept in. No running water, nothing like that. No bathrooms or nothing like that. So once they got up in the morning, I don't know how they washed their face or brushed their teeth or none of that. All I saw was their makeshift cell. And when they left that cell, they went to work after breakfast. Now, they used nitroglycerin on this mountain to get the tunnel started. Nitroglycerin on both sides of the mountain. And these inmates had to go in there and dig the rest of the way until they met each other in that mountain. Now, they went ahead and built 7 of these tunnels. 7. 3,000 inmates. Now, like I said, it took the mayor 40 years to bring this to light for these inmates. 40 years of his life. Because every door he tried to find, see, he wanted to find out who these inmates were. Because out of the 3,000 inmates, 300 of them died in building this railroad. 300. And so now what happened with this nitroglycerin that they were using on this mountain, and then they would send these inmates in there to dig the rest of the way. And they had numerous cave-ins. There were numerous cave-ins. And some of these inmates were buried alive in these cave-ins. But they still didn't stop. They still needed that railroad, so they kept digging. And as they come upon a body, they bring them out of there and dug this one big grave and threw them all in that grave as they found these bodies in that cave-in. And that bothered Mayor Little when he found that out, when he was hearing about this story. And so every door that he tried to open to find out where these inmates was buried at or what their name were was closed in his face. And he said that's what motivated him to become mayor, because he knew if he become mayor, it would open some doors for him and maybe he can get some answers to these questions. And that's exactly what happened. But now decades had passed as he was working on this project. So when he became mayor, doors began to open for him. He found out a lot of these inmates' names. And he found out that their families were never contacted, that these inmates had died. These inmates just went to prison and never got out. And when their family tried to ask questions about it, they were told that the inmate got out. And if he didn't go home, then, we don't know where he went from there. Or that some of them had died in prison and never notified the family. But now that he became mayor, he was able to get those names. Now he had to go and find out where they were buried at. He had to find their resting place. So he hired all of these professionals to come out and survey that area to where they were housed at and where they started building these tunnels at. So those experts that he hired, they found the graves. And then Mayor Little, he went and got this big rock or boulder, as you call it. I mean, it was so big you had to put it on a tractor trailer and truck it over to this burial site, because this is what was going to mark that grave site. And so when he got these names And he put these names on a steel plaque, all 300 of them. And the ones that was buried alive in these cave-ins, in these mountains. He put them all on that plaque. And he mounted that plaque on this big rock. And I'm told today in Asheville is now a tourist attraction. People visit just to see that and to hear that. And I got to tell you, that's going to be my destination this summer. I'm going to get on my motorcycle and I'm going to ride to Asheville to see that burial ground. I want to see that. The way these inmates died, buried alive in that mountain like that, that's just wrong. It's just wrong. And that's my Black History Month story. And that's in a nutshell, but there's a whole lot more to this story. Like I said, I just want to bring that part to you. And now if you're interested in knowing this old story, you go to spectrum.com. And I'm sure it's in their archives. But it's a story worth knowing. WJCM Radio. Until we meet again, radio family, be kind to one another.